My name is Dr. Kailash Mantry. I am a life coach and a mental health consultant. For the last 25 years, we have been researching on all the mental illnesses which we have been able to cure without medicines. Some of the diseases are such where the Google and the psychiatrists are all unanimous that these diseases are not curable. Today we'll be talking on schizophrenia. Now let's understand what is schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a mental illness where the person finds it difficult to adapt or adjust to a situation and is not able to survive the situations or the circumstances created in the family or in the school environment. The definition itself says it's a psychological and an emotional disorder. There is nothing to do with the neurologic aspects and it is 100% curable. There is no role in any mental disorder. The only role is to make the person sleep for some time and to make his nerves weak and to postpone the disease. The side effects of medicines are well known. In gents, any psychiatric medicines over the period of 3 to 5 years if taken causes sexual disorder, and not to mention the general lethargic and the laziness the person feels during the daytime. The dictionary has defined the schizophrenia as a split personality, and if the person is not clear what he really wants and his mind is wavering. My experience is the person who takes on lots of knowledges, he reads a lot, he goes to the Google for researching on many things and is not able to digest the knowledge. Thus, a schizophrenia is born. Now let's understand the early signs and symptoms of schizophrenia. The first early sign is suddenly the exam performance goes bad, goes worse. The person who is getting 80% in SSC, it comes down to around 50% in the 12th grade. This is the first time a substantial reduction in the exam results. This is the first sign. The second sign is the person withdraws socially from everybody, tries to hide himself in a single room and doesn't want any friends, relatives to come home. His concentration reduces drastically. There is a flare-up in temperature on small things. That means he gets irritated, his sleep gets disturbed, generally found very sad, very helpless, depressed. He has a lot of tensions on small things. He takes everything very seriously. He stops laughing. Hostility and suspicion becomes the basic nature. He all the time doubts on whatever happens around him. He thinks a lot. That means he becomes overthinker, overanalyzer, negative approach and a hurtful being. That means he becomes so sensitive, he gets hurted on small things. Neglects personal hygiene. That means avoids taking bath, keeping the body clean. He has got erratic sleep patterns. He gives expressionless gaze. Very often there are inappropriate laughters or crying moments, forgetful nature and concentration problems. These are some of the signs and symptoms of early schizophrenia patient. We will understand schizophrenia from a layman's point of view. A person becomes schizophrenia around the age 16 to 20. The boy gets first attack between 15 to 17 and the girl gets between 18 to 20. 90% cases. Some people become schizophrenia at a later age also, 40, 45, 50 also, but majority gets at the early age only. It starts from being fearful, insecure, and it develops into doubting each and everything, whatever happens around it, and the chain reaction starts from being fearful to being overthinker to being tense to being depressed, and in more than 50% cases suicidal. Any schizophrenia person within 3 to 4 years start getting suicidal thoughts for the basic reason that psychiatrists tell him that you have to take this medicine for the lifetime, and this leaves no hope, no future hope for the patient. The person doesn't like to take medicines. He understands one thing, that medicine is not the solution to my disease. So he resists a lot, but family members do not listen to him and they listen to the doctor and give the medicines forcefully or consciously by hiding the by mixing the medicines in tea, coffee, cold drinks, food, vegetables, soup and other things. The person gets frustrated, he loses faith and trust in the family members, and very often he stops eating at home also. Because of excessive medicines and because the family members are not listening to the patients, he becomes aggressive, abusive, violent at times, and this also is misunderstood by the family members, and again he is taken to the same doctors, same psychiatrist, and very often he is forcefully admitted to the hospitals, and very often he is given electric shocks. Now all these treatments are not the right treatments. There is no progress in his being. Only thing is, because of the drugs, the person becomes silent, depressed, and his aggression and violence reduces because there is no energy left in his body. But the parents get the impression that because of medicines, he has become silent and he is improving. My standard of cure of schizophrenia is he becomes a normal person, he is able to fulfill his dreams, he is able to lead an ideal life, he is able to lead a responsible life, he is able to fulfill the wishes of the parents. But these are not the expectations of the parents. Their expectation is that he should lie down, he should stay at home, he should not commit suicide, and we will feed him for his lifetime. This frustrates the patients, and every 1 or 2 years he get a maniac attack, which are again not understood by the family members, and again they repeat the same mistakes, and the psychiatrist also increases the doses, which again complicates the matter. Let me tell you once again, medicine is no cure for schizophrenia because it is not a disease of the body. It is a disease of the mind. There is a mental breakdown. The person is suffering from tension, frustration, stress, sadness, fear, anger, and all these are basically psychological and emotional disorder, and medicine has got no role to play in any mental illness. But for the last 100 years, whenever the patient behaves inappropriately, the family member has got no choice but to go to a psychiatrist, and the person's life gets complicated and spoiled. Common things observed in the schizophrenia patients are, he is a very hurtful person, many people have hurted him, his expectations are too much from the family members, thus he is very frustrated, he has no goals, no ambitions, no future, so whatever he talks only from the past. His only job is to blame the parents and elderly persons and complain about whatever small things has happened in his life. He all the time lives in the past, talks only about the past events. He has no conversation for any possibility. He has no future, and he is a big complaint box. And he keeps repeating the same word, the same sentence again and again. Also, it is observed that schizophrenia patients over the period goes into drugs, alcohol, tobacco chewing, weeds, and many things. His approach is basically negative in life. He doesn't listen to any person, doesn't talk properly, all the time interested only in arguing, proving his point that he is right, he is not logical, and there are many delusions and hallucinations, things which has not happened. He says, people are talking all these things about me, they are talking against me all the time, they want to kill me, they want to destroy me. All the time he is leading an insecure life. His thoughts are not based on reality, his perceptions are all distorted, and whatever he listens are not true, but he believes it to be true, and thus this is the indication that the person has become schizophrenic. We have developed 100% treatment therapies in which the progress is seen within a month. In fact, 20 to 30% progress can be seen within a month, and within 5 hours, if the parents come to us along with the patients, they will gain confidence that this disease is curable. Depending on the age, if the person comes to us within first year of the attack, this is curable in 100 days also. If there is a delay in coming to us, and if a lot of medicines are taken in between, it may take time. Still, more than 75% patients we have been able to cure within a year, and sometimes very extreme cases, people who are not willing to listen, not willing to cooperate, it takes 2 years also to cure the disease. But now it is 100% curable. Since there are 3 partners who together create this disease, initially we call all 3 of them, and that is father, mother and the child. Very often conflicts and arguments in the family, the domestic violence are the major reason for the person becoming a schizophrenia, and very often it is seen that either one is taking excessive alcohol and the other does not have patience, and there are a lot of arguments and fights in the family. Also sometimes it is seen that single parent can also be the cause for this disease. Very often if the child is forced to go to a hostel or live with some other family members other than the parents, this disease is caused. The root cause is fear, excessive thinking, negative approach, hurtful being, distorted perceptions, living in the past, all the time blaming and complaining. That means the person who has become mentally weak can only become schizophrenia. We use more than 50 therapies to treat the patients. We have developed a very transparent test. We have named it as mind mapping, in which there are more than 500 questions. The patient himself answers to these questions, and there are more than 50 reasons for this disease, and our job is to deal with each of these 50 diseases, and the person is free. Basically the person is not happy, not feel connected to the family members. Sometimes the love and bond which is there, but the patient has missed it. It is basically a mental illness. That means disturbance in the mind. Now the definition of mental illness has changed over the period. The new definition is if there is excessive fear, excessive anger, excessive sadness, excessive seriousness, excessive overthinking, excessive negative approach, excessive living in the past, excessive seriousness, anything which is in excess, anything which is negative and is in excess is the root cause of this disease. And there is no role of medicines in anti-mental illness, including schizophrenia. The role of medicine is only to make the person forcefully sleep, become lethargic, lazy, and to weaken his nerves so that he cannot think. But this is not the treatment for schizophrenia. The patient doesn't benefit even 1% by taking these medicines, but yes, family members do get benefit, that they can be peaceful for some time, they can sleep for some time, but the harmful effects in the person's life are so great that it is not worth giving medicines to the patients. Now the family member understands the harmful effects, but they are also helpless because the psychiatrist advice is what they really are getting. I am sure any of the parents, if they take these medicines even once, they will never give these medicines to the child. Also, I am confident that the psychiatrists who are prescribing these medicines have themselves not tested these medicines, otherwise they will also not give these medicines. Psychiatrists misguide the patients at the first stage that the medicines are very temporary. Within a year, the medicine will get stopped, but they put a condition that every day if you take, then only we can stop within a year. And they know it. Nobody can take these medicines continuously, and thus they say, since you have had breaks in taking medicine, you have to continue for next 2 years also, and they keep on extending the years, and finally they admit that you have to take these medicines for the lifetime, and there is no cure for the schizophrenia, which is not true. Yes, in medicines there is no cure for schizophrenia, but we have developed a foolproof cure for this disease, and there is no role of medicines in the treatment. In fact, our first job is to gradually stop the medicines with the advice and supervision of a psychiatrist, and parallelly we start the treatment. Our first job is to bring the concentration back. Second job is to make him strong mentally so that the fear and insecurity reduces. There is a reduction in doubt, and through communications, we create understanding among the family members. Thus, anger is reduced, and slowly we reduce the medicines. Normally, We stop the medicines within 1 month of our treatment, and the day we stop the medicines, we advise the parents not to stay at our place because the person may overreact and may become aggressive with the parents. So in the absence of parents, we reduce the medicines, and whenever the anger outbursts are there, we have developed a therapy whereby we reduce his anger, aggression and violence slowly, and the person becomes calm and quiet over the period. Now the disease is 100% curable, but it takes time. But the family members and the patients, when they come to us, they come with lots of information through Google or through psychiatrists, and it is their mindset that this disease is not curable, which we take time to break their mindset. The patient gets convinced by us within 10 days that he is curable, but the family members take time because every human being has some fear, some anger, some frustration. But all our patients in the last 3 years have shown around 20 to 40% recovery in 40 to 50 days of treatment. Now there are long treatments, roughly it goes 10 to 12 hours per day, and sometimes we need to create some therapies for him for the night session also, and it is really very hard work. But a life coach can only help a patient because we really need to understand his world, listen to his frustrations, reprogram all the thoughts which he has got, whatever negative interpretations he has got, we have to make him see the positive aspects also, reframe his thoughts, and the process is slow. It takes time. Normally it is found that the person who is the weakest person, the innocent person, becomes the victim of this disease. Because very often parents say, we are the same parent for 3 children. How come only one has become schizophrenia? Yes, some people are innocent, obedient, not able to rebel at the initial period, and they are the victims. They lead a very obedient life for some time, and then they find out, this is not the right way of living, so they rebel. But this is now 100% curable. Our observation is, if the schizophrenia patient has to be cured, 3 people together has brought this disease, and only when all three of them come together for our therapy sessions, this disease is curable. So far, the focus has been only on the patients. Who has to take the medicines? The patient. Who has to be electric shock? The patient. Who has to be admitted to the hospital? The patients. And the family people do not change, they are the same. So the moment he comes back from the hospital, he starts reacting. Thus, unless there is a peace and harmony in the family, nobody can treat the patients alone. They all have to come initially for some time, and the major treatment is of the patients. Also, it is observed the people who are very introvert in nature, very secretive, less communicative, they are the victims of the situations, and they are not able to bear the dominance of the family members, and they become schizophrenia gradually. There is a good definition which I have come across of a schizophrenia patient. Schizophrenia is a mental illness wherein the person is not able to deal, adjust, adapt to the situations, and he is unable to survive the situation or the circumstances, and this definition itself shows it is a mental illness, and the person can be made mentally strong so that he can withstand all the hardships of life and he can lead a normal life. Schizophrenia is a very serious mental illness. It's a challenging mental illness, and we are the only one right now in the world who are confident of curing this disease. It is an expensive treatment because it takes long hours, and sometimes the patients cooperate, sometimes the patient does not cooperate. We have to go by the mood of the patients. We have to be very alert, what is the need of the hour, and there are a lot of life coaches needed at a time to deal with the patient. But the treatment will be worth it because the life of a schizophrenia patient is a life of a hell. He is a failure in marriage does not succeed. 95% of the schizophrenia patient's marriage does not succeed. His work life is also very stressful. Less than 30% people are able to work, at that too at a very minimum level. As long as the parents are alive, there is a hope for schizophrenia patients. After the death of the parents, whatever money they save for the patient, normally other people get the benefit of it, and the life of a schizophrenia patient after the death of their parents is horrible. Basically, it is the disturbance in the mind. That means the peace of the patient is disturbed, and since his peace is disturbed, he disturbs the peace of all the family members. But the science has developed over the period, and there is nothing which is impossible at this stage. The way mobiles were developed, aeroplanes were developed, electricity was developed. At one stage, it was impossible to see all these things. In the same way, schizophrenia cure is also developed, and we give 100% guarantee for the treatment. But treatment is slow and it takes time. If the patient is between the age of 18-19 and mild schizophrenia, within 40 to 50 days also, we can cure more than 60%. Depending on age, depending on the other family members' attitude and the frustrations, there is no fixed time for the treatment of schizophrenia. But more than 75% schizophrenia patients are cured within a year, and some patients take 2 years, and very critical cases sometimes may take 3 years also. Also depending on the education of the person who is a patient. But one thing is sure, the family member and the patients get convinced within 10 days that yes, this disease is curable. Schizophrenia disease is spreading very fast. Today, it is estimated that 3 to 5 crore people, means 30 to 50 million people all over the world are schizophrenia. But more than 50% patients do not get the treatment for schizophrenia. This disease is widely spread in Western countries, and in India also it is growing at a very rapid pace, at least in the cities. The root cause is stress, tension, and it is increasing all over the world. One should not delay the treatment of this disease, because sometimes 5-day delay is also a great delay. All these patients are basically suicidal. They have one option of killing themselves, and that's why they do not cooperate also easily at the initial stage. One observation I will make, if any family members are able to show my video to the schizophrenia patients, he will be the first person to be convinced about my way of treatment, and he will cooperate with me. We have observed that patients get connected to us within 5 hours, but the family members who have to spend a lot of money are skeptical and reluctant to spend on a schizophrenia patient based on the report they get from Google and psychiatrists. People are fooling you, there is no cure for this treatment, why waste time, continue the medicines, and they believe them. Whatever stages the patient is, either he is aggressive, violent or depressed, at any stage he is, you bring the patient to us, we will be able to deal with the patient's aggression, sadness, depression, whatever stage it is. We have a lot of experience in the last 3 years of treating schizophrenia patients, and we are well equipped to deal with any eventuality that may surface. The most aggressive schizophrenia patients also have calmed down in front of us within 5 to 7 hours, and we get lots of cooperation from the patients within 5 hours. It is also observed that family members want to continue the medicines and the patient does not want to continue the medicine. And there are a lot of conflicts, arguments, violence in the family due to these medicines. They trust psychiatrists more than the patient, and their fear is also justified, because if they continue giving medicines, the patient's aggression and violence and anger outburst is less, and if they stop giving the medicines within 10 to 15 days, the person behaves erratic, there are anger outbursts, he runs away from the home, there are violent reactions, there are distractions in the house. We understand the helplessness of the parents of giving medicines, but I once again reiterate that this is not the solution, and the problem will keep aggravating in spite of giving medicines. People whose patients are more than 10-year-old taking medicines, they will relate to my talk that first year aggression was not that much what it is after 4 or 5 years of taking medicines, and it is also observed that more than 60% patients attempt suicide if it is clear to them that they have to stay with these medicines, they have to take these medicines for the lifetime. The process of treatment is long and lengthy, and the treatment is basically to change their perception, to make them mentally strong, to bring out from the past bad memories, to make them live in the present, to help reduce their sadness, frustrations, to show them some possibilities of their marriage, of their future life, of the happiness, and it is curable. Very often they believe in something which is not true, but they believe as if it is true, and they are so convinced and convicted. They are not willing to listen anything against their belief, and it takes time to break their beliefs. Many of the beliefs are distorted. It has got no relevance to the existence, to the reality, but they are so stuck in their point of view that at the initial stage they are not willing to listen anything which goes contrary to their opinion. They are highly knowledgeable, very intelligent, well informed, but all their knowledge and the information is not relevant for their life and doesn't improve the quality of their life. So we will say they have got a lot of garbage in their mind which need to be removed. They usually live in two extremes, sometimes very sad and depressed, and sometimes very aggressive and violent. At the end, I will conclude, stop believing on the psychiatrists who have not been able to help you in spite of 3 to 10 years of treatment. Stop believing in the Googles that this is not curable. Come to us for 5 hours with your open mind and you can have miracles in your life. Now we have got very ambitious plans. We are setting up a 1,000-bed hospital for mental patients in next 3 to 6 months. We are creating more than 1,000 life coaches for our assistants. Minimum it takes 5 to 7 years for a life coach to be ready to treat mental illnesses. We are shortly launching this course and we are confident this will be a best career opportunity for people who want to serve the humankind. We are sure in next 15 years we will be able to help more than 1 crore people who are schizophrenia and who will lead a normal, healthy life. Thank you, Dr. Kailash Mantry from Mumbai, India.